If you are wondering how in the world people around you are affording their lifestyles, you are not alone. You look around and you see neighbors buying shiny new cars, taking constant vacations, and living in homes that look like they belong in a magazine. On social media, or even just in your own friend group, it can feel like everyone is living at a level that is completely out of reach for you. But here is the truth that no one wants to admit. It is almost never what it looks like. The reality is often the complete opposite of what your eyes are telling you. And understanding why this happens takes a little digging. Once you see the pieces moving behind the scenes, it suddenly starts to make a lot more sense. Today, we are going to talk about why looking poor on paper might be the smartest financial move you ever make, especially if you are over 55 and looking toward your golden years. We have been conditioned to believe that wealth is what we can see. We think a $60,000 SUV or $1 million home is a sign of success. But in reality, those things are often just anchors of debt. Listen closely, because the next 10 minutes might change how you view your bank account forever. Let us start with homes, because they are usually the biggest indicator of perceived wealth. That new house your friend just bought, with the big kitchen and the custom pool. On paper, it looks like they must be making a fortune to afford it. But the reality is that first-time home buyers often spend 40% or more of their gross income just on their mortgage. That is 40% of their money gone before they even pay for electricity or food. Many people see a beautiful home and assume it is a sign of massive wealth, but often it is just a large portion of someone's income tied up in a single, illiquid item. I like to use the metaphor of the kitchen cabinet. You might have $1 million home, but you cannot peel off the drywall to buy groceries. You cannot use your kitchen cabinets to pay for a medical emergency. This is what we call being house rich and cash poor. And for someone nearing retirement, this is a dangerous trap. Now let us add in the cars. Buying a new car is the fastest way to make a lifestyle look more luxurious than it actually is. According to recent data, 20% of all new cars have monthly payments over $1,000. That is a staggering amount of money leaving a household every single month for an asset that loses value the second you drive it home. Think about that friend who just got a shiny new truck. It looks like a sign of wealth, but for many buyers, that payment is consuming more than 20% of their take-home pay. They are allocating a huge chunk of their life energy just to look successful in traffic. But what about the people who actually have the money? The data from the Federal Reserve tells a very different story. Only about 1.8% of United States households have $2 million or more set aside in actual retirement accounts. That is fewer than 2 out of every 100 people. And here is the catch. Those people often do not look like millionaires. They are the ones driving the 10-year-old sedan and living in the modest house they paid off 20 years ago. They are poor on paper in terms of their lifestyle, but they are incredibly wealthy in terms of their freedom. This brings us to the most important distinction you will ever learn: the difference between lifestyle assets and investable assets. A lifestyle asset is your home, your car, your clothes, and your furniture. They cost money to maintain and they rarely put cash in your pocket. An investable asset is a brokerage account, a rental property, or a simple index fund. These are the things that work for you while you sleep. If you have $500,000 in a house, you have a place to live, but if you have $500,000 in the Standard & Poor's 500, you have a machine that generates $20,000 a year in income for the rest of your life. This is the power of compounding. Most people never reach the tipping point where their money earns more than they do. They stop just before the magic happens because they get distracted by the urge to upgrade their life. They see a small gain in their account and they think, I deserve a vacation or I need a new kitchen. But the wealthy person stays the course. They understand that the first $100,000 is the hardest. After that, the snowball starts to roll on its own. Now let us talk about a topic that is very sensitive for those of us in our 50s and 60s, our children. A recent survey showed that 50% of parents with adult kids are regularly providing financial assistance to them. On average, these parents are giving their adult children nearly $1,500 per month. That is money that could cover rent, groceries, or student loans for the kids. But at what cost to the parents? Half of those parents admit they have sacrificed their own financial security to provide that help. It is a difficult position to be in because you love your children and you want them to succeed. But if you are cutting into your retirement savings to fund their lifestyle, you are not actually helping them. You are just delaying the inevitable, and you are making yourself a future burden to them. Real love is being financially independent so that your children never have to worry about how to pay for your care. It is okay to set boundaries. It is okay to say, I cannot afford to pay for your car lease anymore because I need to make sure I'm not moving into your guest room 10 years from now. This is part of the contrarian mindset. While everyone else is subsidizing their children's lifestyles and looking rich on the outside, you are building a fortress of security on the inside. So, how do you actually transition to this smarter way of living? It starts with a shift in your perspective. You have to stop giving yourself less credit than you deserve. Maybe you are driving an older car and you feel like you are just getting by. But if you have maxed out your retirement accounts and you have no credit card debt, you are winning. You are doing better than the person in the Porsche who is one missed paycheck away from disaster. The goal is to reach the 3 tipping points of wealth. The first point is when your investments earn more in a year than you contribute to them. The second point is when your investments earn as much as your actual job pays. And the final point is when your portfolio is large enough to support you forever. When you hit that third point, you are truly free. You can wake up and decide what you want to do that day, not because you have to, but because you choose to. You could stop saving entirely and still grow wealthier just from the returns alone. At this stage, your money becomes a self-sustaining machine. And the best part is, you do not need to be a CEO or a lottery winner to get there. Most millionaires are actually very ordinary people. They are teachers, accountants, and engineers who lived below their means for 30 years. They did not chase the latest trends or try to impress people they did not like. They focused on the boring math of consistency and patience. If you are starting later in life, do not be discouraged. Even $500,000 can go a long way when paired with Social Security and a low cost of living. The average Social Security benefit is about $2,000 per month. For a couple, that is $48,000 a year. If you add in a 4% withdrawal from a $500,000 portfolio, you are looking at nearly $68,000 a year. That is a very comfortable retirement for most people, especially if the house is paid off. The key is to ignore the noise. Stop looking at the highlight reels of others and start focusing on your own steady progress. The second million always comes faster than the first because of the way math works. Wealth does not grow in a straight line, it bends upward. If you are in the slow climb right now, keep going. The uphill struggle does not last forever. Eventually, the momentum will take over and you will stop pushing the rock up the hill. Instead, you will watch it roll. Real wealth is the freedom to decide how you spend your time. It is the ability to say no without fear. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing your bills are covered and your future is protected. That is the real reward of financial independence. It is not about the car in the driveway or the label on your clothes. It is about the silence in your mind when you think about the future. So the next time you feel the pressure to keep up, remember this. The people who look the richest are often the most stressed, and the people who look the poorest on paper are often the ones who truly own their lives. Choose freedom over appearance. Choose security over status. Your future self will thank you for it. Thank you for listening and keep building that invisible wealth.